Hello, everyone, and welcome to the State of Roses. It is Murph. It's Jacob Collins, and you know what that means. It's Monday night on the P1 Broadcasting Network, and we have a treat for you, a treat for the drivers too. Jacob, we are at Portland International Raceway for tonight's Indy Open Top Split, and Jacob, the monkey wrench has been tossed. Tell us what these drivers are going to face. At least we think.
Well, there will potentially be rain at some point in this race. We're not quite sure just how much. It's kind of a similar situation to Mid-Ohio. It's looking kind of light on the rain front. We'll just have to see as that kind of rolls in closer to the race time. Be interesting to see how that kind of impacts this track, as it's a new one for a number of people, as I know we've ran it only the one time last season, but obviously with the car changes alongside the introduction of those wet weather tires, that could completely change how this place races.
You know, it most certainly will. It most certainly could. Rain is known as the great equalizer throughout motor racing. Jacob, talk a little bit about what the difference is between racing in the dry and racing in the wet.
Well, a lot of times you talk about how people are kind of searching for grip a lot more in the wet. It's kind of how people go to akin to dirt racing sometimes, where you're kind of moving around the track trying to pick up the moisture or figure out where your car is going to be the fastest. You see some of that kind of translate to the asphalt side of things with the wet tarmac, trying to keep your wet tires from going dry and coming apart, if you will. So it's definitely a bit of a cat and mouse game for everybody that they got to play on top of cat and mousing their competitors.
Speaking of catting and mousing, Jacob, we are getting down to about the time where we're going to start seeing discussions about points. One more week. It is the best 8 out of 12. This is the 8th week. Rashad Craig currently leads the points, 1,294 over Logan Edwards in second. The old narc brain, 1,031. Seb Alexander, 953, makes it 2 out of 3 for Indy Alliance Racing. In the top 3, Anna Klimek, Alan Bruteau, Will Weiser, Chad Simpson, Federico Vicalvi, Jacob Oster, and Hunter Ingrab will round out that top 10. It's a short field, though, here tonight, isn't it, Jacob?
Yeah, this must have been one where we got just barely over the split number for the series of 26 cars, because we have 15 here tonight. It'll be interesting to see how much that potentially impacts the lap traffic situation, especially over the course of the 45-lap event here. We
will indeed. Looking at Rashad Craig right here, he is the man looking to snatch his first IndyCar Open Championship. And there you see his Indy Alliance machine parked at the end of the pit lane. And now he has reset it. Qualifying has ended, Jacob. Everybody has taken time now everybody has more or less taken time with about 3 minutes left to go. Only Robert Malechka III and Jason Brophy remain on the track. Right now, Kevin Desnoyers, and it is a dry Portland right now. Only Kevin Desnoyers with a lap of 57.738 is sitting on the pole. Alexander Miller, Alan Bruteau, Logan Edwards, Anna Klimek provisionally the top 5. So we're going to see if anybody else is going to take lap. We are ready to race. Jacob, that was quick.
Yeah, it's a quick lap around here at the Portland.
It most certainly is. And here we go for the starting grid. Kevin Desnoyers is going to lead them off. He'll be joined on the front row by Alexander Miller. Jason Brophy is going to be third. Alan Bruteau and Logan Edwards will round out your top 5. Anna Klimek, Caleb Brashear, Shady Ahmed, Seb Alexander, and Robert Malechko. The third will line up P6 through 10. In 11th, you're going to have Will Weiser. Milo Green will roll 12th. 13th, Blaze Andrich. Olivia Hayward, 14th. Rashad Craig the points leader is going to start shotgun on the field. And won't that be a bit of a story, Jacob?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of claw his way through the field. It looks like he might have had a bit of trouble on his second qualifying lap trying to get the most out of his IAR machine.
That'll most definitely happen. We're looking at the grid as it starts to form up behind the Porsche 911 pace car. It's going to be an interesting strategic choice here. We have thought and it has been thought, Jacob, that the rain is supposed to hit right about the fuel window, maybe a little before, maybe a little bit after. And so there has been a lot of discussion this week around what do you do in terms of fuel, in terms of tires to start this race.
Well, I think the general consensus so far has been run the optimal or the alternates, the red sidewalls, as much as you can. It looks like another where people are going to start on the blacks here, suspecting that they may need to go long and switch to the wets late. That might be part of the thinking there. But I want to say that this is a bit more akin to a typical road course than it is a street track, even if it does kind of look like a street track, but it's not, as far as I'm aware anyway. So we'll just have to wait and see what people opt to do when the weather potentially comes later in this race. If they opt to go to a different set of dry tires, or if they opt for the wets, we'll just have to see just how hard it comes down.
And there is the weather currently. 70 degrees in the air, 98 on the track, 65.9% relative humidity, wind out of the northwest at 15. It is partly cloudy. We do expect that to change. All simulations this week have indicated that there will be rain here at Portland in the Indy Open top split. Do want to give a shout out to all of our fans in the stands. We've got Clindy in the stands here tonight, so welcome to Kyle Clinmore. Sophia Connell says she believes it's supposed to rain towards the middle of the race. Clindy wants to see the wets now. Liam Anderson says he can't imagine running in the rain. Daniel Durazo, Biao. So there you have it. Desnoyers, good-looking machine up front. Alexander Miller has the rainbow livery on. Brophy in the familiar green and black power slide entry. Alan Boutreau in the second Fiercely Ford machine just behind him. You've got the TMR Deer colors of Anna Klimek and the Luke Mansky Racing green and silver for Logan Edwards. Rolling on row 3, row 4. Take a little bit of a look back, Jacob. That is Caleb Brashear in the number 13, and then you've got the Repsol colors for Shady Ahmed. Seb Alexander and his familiar. That's a tidy row 5 for fans of the community. Robert Maleska in the power slide entry, red and black on his machine. Seb Alexander, the black, gold, and bronze for Indy Alliance, positions 9 and 10. That's a pretty powerful row there, Mr. Collins.
Most certainly is.
Looking toward the green flag now. The Porsche 911 is going to pull it off just as soon as we get around turns number 11 and 12. Coming through 12 now, onto the drag strip. The cars are headed toward Barney in the flag stand. Let's get this party started, Collins. The green flag is out. We are underway from Portland.
We're spending no time trying to make passes as Alan Berteau makes his way on the outside coming to turn 1, 2.
Everybody's going to make it through the chicane in good shape except for Olivia Hayward. Now we're going to get down toward the festival curves for 4A and 5, as I've been told. Most people erroneously think that the festival curves is the chicane. The chicane is not the festival curves. Those are the next set of corners, as I've been duly instructed. Now, Jacob, this is a quick lap, is it not?
Yeah, we saw the pole time at 57.7 from Desnoyers. The bulk of the race laps I've been hearing are going to be probably in the low 59-second, maybe high 58-second range. We'll kind of see how that differs between the tire compounds. It's possible a lot of that test running was done on alternate tires, which may be slightly faster. So we'll just have to see.
You know, I think it's kind of interesting. Everybody went off on the black tires. Blaze Andrich has already retired from the event. Blaze Andrich is going to punch out and be classified as 15th here today, as we'll watch Alan Berteau lead it. And there's Alan there's Alan Berteau in the P1 Docks cars. Kevin Desnoyers leading. He is the P1 car with green trim, the P1 Docks Fiercely Ford machine. Green trim, American flag on the end plate. Alan Berteau, black trim, no flag on the end plate. That's how you'll tell those two apart. And Berteau is being pursued by Alex Miller in the rainbow machine.
Yeah, I believe Alex has a new scheme this week. He kind of previewed it in the community Discord. He's got some new colors on that Dallara IR18 out there, and it looks pretty good.
Yes, it does. He ran an all-black car the other day. Kind of threw me off. Now he is in a rainbow-looking machine. So there's Alexander Miller in position in P3 as we follow him around. Good-looking number 11. And then right behind him, the old narc brain, that's Logan Edwards. Purple up top on the Luke Mansky Motorsports machine. Familiar green and silver for Logan. He's number 7 today. Rounding out the top 5, it's Anna the Deer in the deer painted Taylor Mills Racing entry, and she has a boatload of trouble coming behind her. That's Jason Brophy and Robert Malechka, P6 and P7. So she's got the attenuator full of power slide at the moment.
Yeah, and you've got to wonder if that's going to be pressure that mounts for her, or if that's just another name on the list behind her. Because if there's anyone I know who can handle pressure well, it's Anna. She does a great job on the road to Indy stuff, for sure. So it'll be interesting to see if she can stay out ahead of these power slide guys for a couple laps here.
You know, and that's something that she really has not faced yet. Somebody in the road to Indy may not realize exactly who that is behind him. May not understand that that's 2 Pro Series drivers behind her, and may not. I'm not going to say may not race them with respect, but I would be jittery with Brophy and Malechka were behind me. You know what I mean? And I've won championships at this level. I can't fathom what it would be like to be a rookie and have those 2 names behind you if you knew who they were.
Well, I think a lot of people know who they're up against when they see the entry list oftentimes at this point, especially when you're kind of in and around the cars and you talk to people, they talk to who they race with and stuff. So it's news travels quick, and I think Anna knows who she's up against, so we'll see if she can hang on to the top 5 here.
We will indeed. This is the best battle on the racing surface. It's Klimek, Brophy, Malechka, and Shady Ahmed has joined this fight, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Alexander Miller is about a half a second behind Alan Berteau. Meanwhile, Seb Alexander has dove into the pit lane, and the number 6 machine has gone on to the red alternate tires.
Yeah, I kind of went back to look to see what happened with Blaze Andrich on the first lap, and it looks like he may have gotten into the back of Will Weiser going into that opening chicane, and Seb might have sustained some damage from Will's car getting squirrely and maybe hit the front nose cone to the side pod. So it's possible that Seb came in early here to try to get a tire swap in while his car's kind of behind the 8 ball, if you will. So we'll see if that ends up paying off at all come the end of the race.
We will indeed. Are sad to report that Olivia Hayward has pulled her number 10 off the racing surface, and she is going to become the 2nd retirement. So Olivia Hayward will be credited with 14th place. Rashad Craig is headed for the pit lane as well. I didn't see him hit anything. There isn't anything on session events for Rashad Craig. Is this a scheduled stop, you think, to come and get the alternate tires?
No, I don't believe so. It looks like he may have some front wing damage, possibly
there it
sustained
is
in the opening lap.
Yeah, there it is. If you look, the left front wing rather is missing on that number 2 Dallara, and so the Indy Alliance campaigner, he'll bring it down pit lane. They'll swap a new front wing onto it. There goes Seb Alexander. No danger of going a lap down for these two. But they are definitely behind the 8 ball early on. Back to the front, you've got Logan Edwards, and is that Will Weiser in a second Luke Mansky entry? Is that how that's showing up on your screen? That would be news.
That looks like the case to me.
Very good. So Will Weiser sporting some new colors here today at Portland. You discover it just along with us. Will Weiser is going along in 12th. He just passed Rashad Craig. That's hot tires on hot tires. Now Weiser is on the primary black tires. Rashad Craig has changed onto the red alternates, and off goes Weiser. He doesn't hit anything, but he's going to run along at that 11 and 12 double apex final corner. A little bit of grass cutting goes on. Olivia Hayward has gotten her car back into the fight. Ohei is now classified 1 lap down, so erroneously reported that she was out of the race. She is back into the running. Anna Klimek has started to stretch out her advantage, Jacob, over Brophy, Malechka, and Ahmed.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, if you can get the tires underneath you, the first couple laps are probably going to be the worst ones you get, especially on the primary tire where you're trying to get that durability out of it. So maybe it takes a bit longer to come up to temperature comfortably. So once you got them underneath her, it looks like she's going to be able to kind of walk away slowly from the power slide duo behind her. We'll see how far that stretches out.
Yes, indeed. So Anna Klimek beginning to pull away. Her last lap, 59.968. That was the third fastest lap on the circuit after Desnoyers and Bruteau in the 2 Fiercely Ford entries. They have got a gap. Don't want to discount the achievement of Desnoyers and Bruteau. Desnoyers 4 seconds up on Alan Bruteau, his teammate, and there are Desnoyers and Bruteau. Alexander Miller is another second behind them, and there is Miller, and he's got some pursuit there from the Luke Mansky Motorsports entry of Logan Edwards.
Yeah, and you've got to imagine this is a track that a lot of these guys have practiced a good bit. It's a newer one for us. It is a real-world IndyCar track, so it's definitely one a lot of the teams will put some focus on for that very reason. So it's good to see a good variety of names throughout the field kind of show what they've got at a different location for a good amount of the people in the field.
It is indeed. Do want to point out, we'll go on board here with Logan Edwards just to kind of show everybody what a lap here at Portland looks like. It's right around a minute. You do fly around this place, going through turns number 10 and 11, and then you're immediately hard on the brakes for turn number 12. Onto the front straight. That doubles as a back straight, Jacob, and they're going to hit pretty close to terminal velocity down here before hard braking to turn number 1.
Yeah, the biggest piece of knowledge I've kind of carried out of trying to figure this track out is those curbs in the chicane. You have to hit them, but you have to hit them correctly, or you're basically going completely offline and losing tons and tons of time. So it's very, very high risk, but also very, very high reward for nailing that opening corner complex.
Very, very true. Edwards has made it through the festival curves. Now he's at turn 7. It's going to be a quick flick. This is flat out through turn 8, flat out through turn 9, and then all the way down to the braking zone at turn number 10 and 11. And this will be a lap at Portland. So just like that, Logan Edwards has taken us on the tour. It's not much to this place, is it, Jacob?
No, it kind of reminds me of a mix between a Lime Rock Park and like a Montreal, where it's flat and the corner variety is, it's there, but it's not extreme like some tracks might be. And, you've got to kind of really nail the corner flow. Otherwise you lose tons and tons of time. The big heavy braking zones mixed with like the sweeping corners kind of give you a lot to tackle, that you have to be on the ball pretty much everywhere.
Yes, you do. Watching this from the perspective of the race fan, if you were in a seat at Portland, this is how you'd see it. Do want to thank Whiplash SimCams for all that they do for us. And go ahead and get the bug up there. Somehow that got eliminated, but thank you to Whiplash SimCams for the views. We are working lap number 11 of 45, watching the IndyCar Open Series here on iRacing. This is the official top split. Working lap number 11 of 45, Kevin Desnoyers has broken out to a 6-second lead, Jacob. He is hammering this field 0.7 of a second quicker than Alan Bruteau. The only other car in the 59-second bracket other than the 2 Fiercely Ford machines, you're watching him. That's Logan Edwards in P4.
Yeah, we were kind of suspecting going into this, we'd see about that sub-minute time be where people settle in, and it's, you've got to kind of make up the time early, and the gaps will kind of muster themselves pretty quickly. While you can do a good bit with push to pass in the draft, it's very, very hard to find an opportune spot to pass, especially through a lot of these twisty sections. And the straightaways are like just long enough to generate a run, but not to the point where you can easily clear a car before the corners. So that means you kind of got to set up the corner and muscle your way on a potentially inoptimum line to get around a car. So it's going to be very interesting to see if people can make passes late through this opening stint.
Yes, indeed, and the specter of the rain looms, right, Jacob? I mean, you know, my suspicion here is that at least when I ran it in the Velocity Online Racing Series, the reds were the preferred tires. The red alternates were the preferred tire. I get the feeling that the drivers selected the primary alternates just to be able to go as long as possible, thinking that the rain would be right in the fuel window.
Well, based off what I'm seeing from the in-sim radar here, it looks like there's about 30 minutes until the first bit of rain starts to come in. That's going to be when the rain's the heaviest, and it tapers off from there. So it's possible it'll be only the last couple laps that we actually see be wet here. But, you know, that could also change, right?
Yeah, and how crazy would that be if you had a deluge with 3 or 4 to go, which my Ball State math tells me that's about when it would happen, 3 to go. How wild would it be if you had a deluge with that amount of time to go and people trying to crawl around on dry tires and people trying to coming in and getting wets just to survive but not be able to get them up to temperature? That could be kind of a crazy affair. Logan Edwards is now looking to the inside of Alexander Miller. I think Edwards is a little bit faster here, Jacob, and I don't think it's going to be much longer before he gets past the number 11 machine of Alex Miller.
No, that last time by, we saw Edwards about 0.3 up on Miller ahead. Some of that could be the draft. Some of that could just be slightly better corner speed. Not the easiest to tell sometimes, but we'll have to see if he can manage that very, very tight passing window and be able to make a move on Miller here.
Do want to thank our good friend Shane Coker for tuning it in. Shane is complimenting your meteorology skills. I said meteorology, cheese, commentary. Jacob Collins can do it all, friends. We are working at lap number 15 of 45, 1/3 distance. Do want to note Seb Alexander and Rashad Craig are on the red alternate tires. They are not going any faster than Desnoyers and Bruteau. Just to kind of put that fine of a point out there, those two IR cars, their best lap, even on the red alternates, is about half a second slower than what Desnoyers is doing out front on the primes.
Yeah, it's entirely possible this has become a bit more of a higher deg track. You know, it maybe be like more of a Road America due to those heavy braking zones being so prominent here. You know, that you see pretty commonly there that
we've got a car slow. That is Shady Ahmed. I believe that was Shady Ahmed, or was it? No, that was Olivia Hayward. She was getting out of the way of the front runners. Good sportsmanship there from Ohe. We'll get back to the battle. We're going to check in first, though, on Robert Malechka III. He is pulled in on Milo Green. This is 8th and 9th. Green has it. Malechka wants it. And they are followed very closely by Caleb Brashear there in the number 13. Brashear is 10th.
I'm wondering if something happened to Rob on that last lap. I think he's fallen backwards through the field.
He has fallen back a couple 3 spots. We didn't see it. It happened about 5 laps ago, and so Malechka has now latched onto the back of Milo Green, and he's trying to figure a way around. It's worth noting that as fearsome as Rob and Jason Brophy are on ovals, and although both of them made the IndyCar Pro Series, neither one is noted as an excellent road racer.
It definitely is an entirely different skill set, even in the same car like the IndyCar here, right? although we may share a good bit of the aerodynamic packages between, say, the short oval and road courses, there's only so much that transfers between turning left and turning both directions, and it's always good to see kind of the best from both worlds kind of collide here in the Open Series. You get an idea of guys trying to shore their skills up in other parts of their toolkit, if you will. So always good to see the variety of drivers out here week to week.
You do, and that's something, Jacob, that is unique to IndyCar. You have to be able to do super speedways, short ovals, intermediate ovals, road courses, street courses, tight bull rings, and concrete canyons, and take this car to Fontana in Michigan. You have to be able to do all of those things in order to be a championship contender in this car. Robert Malechka III, definitely one of those, and his road I rating is nearly 5,000. I meant no disrespect or insult to the king, but more of just pointing out, not noted as a road racer, definitely noted as more of an oval racer.
Well, the exception to the rule historically had been Alex Palou, right? He hadn't won on an oval until this year and was already a 3-time champion of the series.
That's true, and now he's won what? I think it's at this point better to look at Alex Palou in terms of what didn't he win?
Milwaukee.
He didn't win it. Well, Milwaukee hasn't happened yet.
Well, he didn't win at it last year either.
No, he didn't. I was there for both of those races. Very good time. And that's set coming up. That's set coming up. What here in a couple 3 weeks, Jacob?
Believe so. I'll be there.
That's good. There, if you haven't been to Milwaukee, it is unique among racetracks, and Jacob will vouch for this. That's his neck of the woods. But right behind the main grandstand is the State Fair, and it is a permanent beer garden immediately adjacent to that. For the IndyCar races, there's a fan zone in there. It's a cool thing to go to, even if you're not completely interested in the car racing. Go get yourself a cold one and a bratwurst. It's an interesting place, Jacob.
Yeah, that's part of what makes Milwaukee so different too, right? It is at a fairground, and it has an atmosphere all its own, and it's a big part of racing history throughout North America, to be frank. So it's always good to see it come back, and I hope that it can stick around for a good long while here on the IndyCar schedule.
Most certainly so. It's within 4 hours of me, and I'm one of those. As we watch Rob, we're going to get back to Logan Edwards and Alexander Miller because they continue to have at it, and they are catching Alan Bruteau now for second. So these two catching Bruteau for second. Desnoyers is gone. He is 10 seconds up the road in the lead, but there's about to be a battle brewing for second in addition to the one for third, Jacob.
Yeah, you've got to wonder if maybe some of these other cars behind Desnoyers and Bruteau have a bit of a longer run car that they've kind of set up to be easier on those black tires, or maybe they're just, they're working together to slowly reel in Bruteau as Bruteau maybe is kind of settling into a bit more of a lax rhythm without tons of pressure. Be interested to see if they can catch him and what they manage to do once they get there.
It is. I'll tell you a funny Alex Palou story. He does do a lot of iRacing, but he doesn't do it in the IndyCar. The last time I saw him was a couple of years ago. It was in an ARCA race at Nashville. The podium was Josh Berry, Alex Palou, and me. And never have I felt so accomplished to be on a podium in a pixel car in a pixel car race. That was pretty cool.
That's quite good company. I actually went back and looked. My first career oval win on iRacing was the second split of a race that Josh Berry won in the ARCA car at Phoenix.
Yeah, it's fun, and that's what makes this hobby so much fun. Is you get a chance to interact with the guys who use this as a training tool, really, and you get a chance to interact with them and participate with them. Somebody asked me what how many real drivers I'd raced against, and I said, well, more or less the entire IndyCar F1 and IMSA grids, and about a third of the guys in Formula One, Jacob, passed through at some point.
There's at least a dozen of them kicking around all over the place. I know we hunted down Oscar Piastri recently was running vintage IMSA at Mid Ohio.
Now that's fun. Those vintage IMSA cars are incredibly fun to race. Seb Alexander and I teamed up to run the Road America 500 in one of those prototypes. If our fans out there haven't run the vintage IMSA, and by vintage we're what, talking about 1988, 89 spec GTPs
believe
and
roughly,
GTOs, those cars are an absolute blast. We are watching Logan Edwards and Alex Miller. They're having a battle for third. Alan Bruteau has looked in the relative and said he thought those boys might be getting a little bit too close, Jacob. So he's pulled away a little bit. So Miller and Edwards left to battle it out for third. I do just kind of want to point out we're getting close to that fuel window, are we not, Jacob?
Yeah, you'd have to figure it's probably roughly halfway that a lot of these cars may opt to come in. We did see a good number of these cars start on the black tires, so it's possible they try to stretch it a little bit later than that. I do also want to note that Jason Brophy has closed down the gap to Anna Klemek to about within 3/4 of a second, so that may turn into a battle before the end of this fuel run as well.
Yeah, there they are, Anna Klemek and Jason Brophy. This is 5th and 6th. Brophy's closed in. He's not quite as close as Logan Edwards is to Alex Miller, but they are very close. Do want to also point out that Robert Malechka III continues to hound Caleb Brashear. Milo Green has sort of sodded off in the distance, but Malechka is very comfortably in 10th, and so wanted to give him his due. We're going to look back in on Logan Edwards and Alexander Miller, because this continues to be, Jacob, the best battle on the track, at least right now.
Yeah, it's kind of been the slow game of inches for Logan Edwards, creeping towards Alex Miller lap over lap. We haven't seen a big swing in the gap here. We've kind of see it stick around, the 3/4 tenths of a second lap over lap. It did get within 2, I believe, a couple laps ago, but that could just be where the timing line relative to the time made up was. So we'll see if Logan can make something happen, maybe do something on pit strategy to get his way around Alex.
Absolutely. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. We've got a rather large audience here tonight, Jacob, and do want to thank everybody for looking in on P1 Broadcasting on your Monday night. If you haven't already done so, make sure you smash the like button on the video, grab the bell, ring the bell so that you can subscribe to the channel. Be notified of all future P1 Broadcasting iRacing action. Tonight, immediately following this one, 9:35, Gary Godso is going to have the Sim Gaming Expo ISRA Open Wheels Series live from Pocono. That's 9:35. Tomorrow night, back to Pocono for the India Oval Tuesday Top Split presented by Techtopia. That's going to be at 8:15 Eastern. We have Wednesday off. There is no Horizon race this week. But Thursday and Friday, Sam Crow and I are going to have the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series and the Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. They're going to be going from Watkins Glen. Now, that's a ton of fun in an Xfinity car and a truck, Collins. I look forward to that. Saturday, the INDYCAR iRacing Series presented by 40 Racewear will be right here at 2 o'clock. And then from noon till about 3, Andrew Wood, Kyle Clinworth, and I, among others, and anybody who's willing to join in that booth, it'll be a lot of fun. We are going to have the 3 heats for the Sim Gaming Expo. We're going to have 3 heats for the Sim Gaming Expo GT3 Challenge Series.
Now, what does that entail? Are they doing qualifying seating for that, or what's the event procedure?
Yeah, so there's 3 components to it. There's a time trial, and then from there they're going to take the top 75, and they're going to run heats to determine who gets to race in the big show. And we're going to have the heats on Saturday live right here on P1, and then of course Sunday night you're going to have the Votive Racing League. That race, Jacob, and I can't recall off the top of my head. Usually I'm pretty good at memorizing these things. Now I got to look it up. Votive this weekend is also at Pocono. So Gary is going to be tired of Pocono by the end of this one. And then that'll bring us right back to next Monday night, the INDYCAR Series Monday Night Top Split next week is going to be from Phillip Island. We are working lap 27 of 45. The red tire, or the black tires, have to be just about shot, Jacob. The fuel has got to be getting pretty light.
Yeah, you got to imagine probably close to lap 30 as these cars will muster might be the opening point for the fuel window. I think that as many people that started on the black tire, they're probably going to try to stretch these as long as they can. That alternate seems to fall off pretty quick given what we've seen from a number of cars that have swapped to it early here.
You do. Do want to point out the track has cooled off a couple of degrees. The air temperature too. The humidity is starting to climb. And Jacob, what does that radar look like?
Well, the rain percentage chances dropped from 10 to 3%, but we're still waiting about 15 minutes before it gets here. So I'm not suspecting it's going to have a huge impact unless it comes down really heavy.
That's very true. 15 minutes from now would put that rain at 2 to go. And so unless it's a deluge, it's probably not going to have much of an effect on the proceedings here at Portland. Right now, we're looking at Kevin Desnoyers, and we haven't shown Kevin Desnoyers in a good while. There he is in the Fiercely Forward P1 Docks machine. Kevin Desnoyers leads it by 12.2 seconds. A clinic being put on here by the man in the number 4. He's got teammate Alan Bruteau in second, and there's Alan, and he leads that battle between Alexander Miller and Logan Edwards that we've been watching. Behind Miller and Edwards is Anna the Deer. She is in 5th. There's Anna, and then she's pulled out about a second, 1.2 second gap over Jason Brophy in 6th. So she's not let the pressure from the power slide machine get to her. As we've got pit stops, Alexander Miller, Alan Bruteau are on pit lane. My guess, and we're going to stay with this, as behind them in comes Shady Ahmed, and Shady Ahmed has the black flag. Caleb Brashear is also on pit lane. So let's just take a quick gander here and check out how they come off of pit road, Jacob. There goes Bruteau. There goes Miller. Shady Ahmed too fast entering. Waiting on Brashear to see where he's going to blend out. There he comes. And Shady Ahmed has decided to disconnect after that penalty. And we're going to join right back in with Anna the Deer. She is now 3rd. Logan Edwards is on pit lane. Desnoyers still has not stopped. And that's a pretty wild trick, Jacob. If you can go fast and save fuel like that, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely a very difficult skill to nail down. You know, we've seen it a number of times in recent years, particularly at tracks like Long Beach or Mid-Ohio, where people will stretch that fuel run really, really long to cut an entire pit stop out and try to leapfrog cars that way. You know, that the joke is that they made those races longer so Scott Dixon can't win them on fuel mileage, and he still found a way to do it.
Well, and here comes Kevin Desnoyers. He is finally going to succumb. I would suppose that he is just about out of fuel. Also, Seb Alexander is going to pit behind him. Rashad Craig is going to go around one more time, and that would leave the only 2 cars not on pit road out of the top 5. Well, that would be Anna Klimek and Jason Brophy. Robert Malechka is also still out on his original set, and we'll see what the TMR car does this time through. She is going to pit. Brophy will follow suit. And I would be willing to bet we're going to see Robert Malechka III pull in just behind these cars as soon as he comes around turn number 12. And there he is coming for pit lane as well. So everybody will have now pitted, and it's back to normal service. There is Kevin Desnoyers in the Fiercely Forward P1 Docks entry. He leads it, and it's handsome. It's over 14 seconds now, 15 seconds over Alan Bruteau, and everybody has switched to the red alternate tires now.
And I think the biggest thing to come out of all of this is that Logan Edwards managed to hop Alex Miller through the pit sequence.
Yes, he did. So Logan Edwards is going to get out ahead. Of Alex Miller, and not only that, Logan Edwards has caught Alan Bruteau. So it's not just that he left Alex Miller. Logan Edwards is chasing down Brutto for second.
I think it's going to come down to who can make those alternate tires last the longest. We did see a good amount of deg from cars that took these tires earlier in the race, so I imagine that it's basically going to come down to who can keep them underneath them the best.
You know, that's a great point. And then there's always the specter of what happens if it rains with 3 laps to go, and what do you do, and what kind of issues is that going to create? We don't think at this point, at least meteorologist Jacob Collins doesn't think that it's going to cause much of an issue. It would have to rain very hard if it does, but you're saying that the leading edge of that system is bringing the heaviest rain. Is that right?
Seemingly.
And it doesn't take much for that to have an effect on these tires, does it? On the dry tires.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we learned from Mid-Ohio is it needs to accumulate on the track surface. If cars are still moving through it and it's light, it's not likely to have a huge impact because the track's going to effectively remain dry where you're driving on it. Where it's going to become an issue is if, it comes down really heavy and the cars running around are not able to clear it, in which case the track does pick up moisture. Maybe it starts to puddle up that little bit. That's when you're going to start to notice it the most.
Yeah, I mean, it just means that you have to be just that much more precise. If you hit a wet patch, all the traction will be gone out of your race car. Slide off. You may not lose much more than time, but when you're as close as Edwards and Brutto here are, Milo Green and Jason Brophy are having another good battle. Robert Malechka has pulled up to the back of them. Malechka let Caleb Brashear during that pit cycle, so Malechka now 8th. Rashad Craig is up to 10th. The perseverance has paid off for him. Still on the lead lap, and then Will Weiser, Seb Alexander are a lap down. Shady Ahmed and Ohei, Olivia Hayward, and Blaze Andrich have decided to pull it off. We have 12 cars continuing to circulate, Jacob, as we head down toward the last 10 or 11 laps of this race here at Portland. Still waiting to see if it will be weather impacted, although right now we don't think that it's going to be. And just to ask, how frustrating is that to prepare these cars, Jacob? How frustrating is it to prepare these cars, and then boom, no for rain, and then boom, no rain?
Well, I'll imagine a number of guys have a dry intended set and a set that maybe can handle that wet weather a bit better. I think you kind of have to prepare for both at any time that there's going to be any potential for it, which just kind of comes with the territory. I think to a certain extent, it's more frustrating when it does happen and you're not expecting it. But fortunately, they do give a well-aware forecast through the iRacing UI to give you an idea of when it's supposed to rain and when it's not. And it does also seem to be that it's variable session to session. So it's possible that later on this week, there'll be sessions with more chance of rain. It may come in earlier in the session. It all depends on kind of the iRacing weatherman if they want to make it really rain on people's parades or not.
Pun intended, right? Robert Malechka III just rained on Milo Green's parade. He powered to the inside of that black number 14 and has taken over 7th place. So moved Malechka up to 7th. Anna Klimek continues to run in 5th. There she is. She's an island unto herself. She's got 6.5 seconds on Jason Brophy, about 2.5, 3 seconds up the road to this man, Alex Miller. Logan Edwards continues to pressure Alan Brutto for that 3rd spot. The old narc brain, he's doing a bang-up job here.
Well, we're challenging for 2nd with Brutto ahead, right? So it's going to be one of those things where he wants to figure out if he can catch him in the right spot and make that move as soon as possible before his tires maybe fall underneath him. Maybe he stands a better chance of defending than going for it at that later stage of the race.
He may, and we've seen that play out, Edwards versus Brutto at various points this season. Edwards has made that move, and as you say, has seen the tires fall to pieces and seen Brutto get back by. So it's a mountain he's not yet climbed, but he is there. and he's putting all the pressure on the fiercely forward machine of Alan Bruteau. Nobody is putting any pressure as we see them get by Rashad Craig. Nobody is put him a lap down. Nobody is putting any pressure on this man, Kevin Desnoyers. And this is about as beautiful of a view as you can get on any racetrack. There is nobody around Kevin Desnoyers to the front. And Jacob, there's nobody out the back either.
No, and I think I saw Kevin run a number of production car challenge races at Road America last week. So maybe it's a good change of pace that he's not in the utter chaos that is a production car challenge race at a big track like Road America.
There's nothing wrong with that, though. Those are a ton of fun, Jacob.
Oh, absolutely. I love driving around in that BMW M2 or the Mazda MX-5. It's just, there's so many of those cars that are so similar on pace that you end up stacked on top of each other, and it becomes a bicker fest of who can kind of crab in the barrel their way to the bottom of the field.
I like that. I like how you put that. There's Kevin Desnoyers. He is leading this race. Do not want to discount what he's done 18 seconds up, but the fight is right here. That's Logan Edwards and Logan Edwards and Alan Bruteau. They're having at it over second. This is some 18.5 seconds behind the leader, Kevin Desnoyers. But Logan Edwards is all over the back now of Alan Bruteau.
As we see Bruteau go a little wide on the exit of that chicane there, it's so crucial to kind of get that line lined up. We'll see if Edwards can make something of it, maybe coming towards the back half of this track.
We mentioned how little you can see out of these cars. That's what you see from eye level. This is what we're going to see out of the right eyeball from Logan Edwards. Moving to try to see if he can't get past Alan Bruteau. Their lap times are nearly identical. If there's a trump card, it would be the push to pass, except they're just about dead even there too. Bruteau 67 seconds, Logan Edwards with 69. It's worth noting, but as both of them go on the button, that Kevin Desnoyers has a 34-second advantage in push to pass as well, Jacob.
Well, what's he need to push to pass for? He's not passing much. He's out in the clean air on a Sunday drive on a Monday.
Sunday drive on a Monday. Not a Sunday drive for these two. Logan Edwards now closes to within 1/10 of a second. This is as close as he's been, Jacob. Where would you make the move if you're Logan Edwards?
Well, you're going to have to pick one of the longer straightaways to set it up. But as I mentioned earlier, it's not very easy to make the move cleared down the straight because it's just not long enough. So my pick would be to try to set it up into turn one, maybe give a little bit of a pinch to the car on the inside, work your way on the outside, and try to motor away from there. We'll see if that festers onto this next lap here.
Edwards is very, very good coming off of turn number 12. All over the back of Bruteau. Let's see if he makes the lunge here, Jacob. Just not quite there. Can't quite get close enough. You're watching these pictures live. This is the iRacing INDYCAR Open Series live from Portland here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. Do want to give a shout out to all of the fans in the stands. If you have a question in chat, feel free to hit us up. We will answer on the air if able. Do want to also thank Whiplash SimCams for the views. These are incredible pictures, and it's all thanks to Whiplash SimCams. Do want to remind everybody that immediately following this, it'll be Gary Gotso, Luis Gonzalez Nunez calling the Sim Gaming Expo finale. Collins, you're gonna be in that one, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, I haven't yet decided, but I think I might be inclined to join you.
Well, you know, we're taking on the triangle. It'd be good to have three to tango.
So is it 3 turns or 5 turns, Jacob? Well,
I am a firm 3-turn believer. Concord, the track that's no longer with us, unfortunately, I will decree is a pentagon. Therefore, it is 5, but Pocono is 3.
Concord, North Carolina, by the way, for anybody out there who doesn't know, was a historic short track just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. It has it has fallen to the bulldozer. But it does remain in the sim, and that is one of the great things about iRacing, is that as some of these tracks do fall victim to urban expansion, warehousing, and so on, the great track at Fontana is an example of that. We get to play with it forever, Jacob.
I think it'd be fitting if iRacing made a version that's just the front stretch and called it Amazon Speedway, if they could somehow get the license for it.
Or maybe put the proposed short track in there. I was listening to Dale Jr.'s podcast the other day, and as many suspected, I kind of look at some of the things that he says as a pre-approved NASCAR trial balloon for things that they're going to announce later. So if he says something that's not popular, they get to rethink it. But one of the things that kind of went by with a wheeze was, he said that Fontana was never going to be rebuilt. That just the permitting and the expense wouldn't be worth it. Wouldn't be worth it by the time you had finished the facility. And I think that's what most of us already knew, and it's a shame because Roger Penske back in the late '90s, that was a super fun site, Jacob. I don't know if you know that or not, but Fontana was a toxic waste ground. And Roger Penske cleaned that up and built that racetrack, and it's sad to see it gone.
Well, you got to feel for those race fans that are in and around the area. Irwindale Speedway closed at around a similar time, so they're kind of running out of at least oval facilities in and around.
They're running well, and it's not just that. Southern California, if you think about it, it's not just Fontana and Irwindale. They've lost Riverside, they've lost Ontario. Both of those great speedways. Riverside, of course, famous road course. It fell victim to urban expansion from Los Angeles in the late 80s. And then, the same for Ontario. The crazy thing about Ontario, the facility now would be if it were still there, would be the second most valuable racetrack in the country after Indianapolis. And it's no longer there, simply because the ground it sat on was too expensive. We're looking at Logan Edwards and Alan Bruteau. Edwards is there. He is all over the back of Alan Bruteau, but he just can't quite get enough. He's going to have one more chance to have a lunge, Jacob, the next time through here. I don't see anything getting done through 11 and 12. Do you?
No, I don't think so. I think that the real big passing opportunity at this track is into that first opening chicane there. And you've got to be willing to just put the car alongside and hope you could work through that corner a bit better once you get there. And I don't think that you're going to be able to have your car alongside at that point. It's just you're going to have to lick the stamp and send it, if you will.
Well, and then there's the championship bit too. Logan Edwards is second to Rashad Craig. Rashad Craig is 10th. He is not having a very good day here today. Logan Edwards with a shot at a podium. Kevin Desnoyers has come through for the white flag. But he's got to be thinking bigger fish to fry here one more time. Just not close enough, and he is not going to make the wild dive down the inside. Logan Edwards is going to keep it behind behind Alan Bruteau. Now let's see if he can make the move. He's going to try it into 3. Now that's an ambitious one.
I think he's just looking. He's trying to kind of rattle the old cage of Bruteau ahead. We'll see if he maybe tries to make a move down the backstretch here.
We'll see indeed. There it is. We're going to get on the roll bar and see what Logan Edwards has up his sleeve. Coming down the back through turn 8, headed down towards 10, 11, and 12. This is the final chance for Logan Edwards to see if he can grab second away from Alan Bruteau, as Kevin Desnoyers has already crossed the start-finish line to win the race. But here's Edwards and Bruteau just not going to quite get it. And Edwards spins it! Edwards spun the car coming to get the checkered flag. It's not going to cost him. It's going to cost him one spot. Alexander Miller nips Logan Edwards at the line with that spin. And we'll wait for everybody else to come through. Anna Klimek is going to be the next car through, and there's Anna, so she will come home a fine 5th. Jason Brophy is going to be 6th. The King, Robert Malechka, 7th. And that is more or less. There's Brashear and Milo Green, and that is it from Portland. Logan Edwards at the death spins the car out, loses a spot, and he will be denied a podium. And who said we weren't going to have any excitement?
A little wide on the. Well, you know, he got a little wide on the exit of that corner, and it does fall away a slight bit. And then he got on the push to pass, and the car just escaped from underneath him, and it was a miracle he didn't hit anything. And we got ourselves a drag race on the drag strip.
Indeed, indeed. For the final results, Kevin Desnoyers, he'll be your winner, never in doubt. 23.583 seconds over Alan Bruteau. Alex Miller is going to come home third by less than a tenth of a second. The spin from Logan Edwards will drop him from fourth. Anna Klimek, she's going to be credited with a fine fifth. Jason Brophy, Robert Malechka, Caleb Brashear, Milo Green, and Rashad Craig will round out your top 10. In 11th, it's going to be Sam Alexander. Will Weiser is 12th. Shady Ahmed is 13th. Olivia Hayward is 14th. Blaze Andrich will round out the field here at Portland. That was a fun race, Jacob.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
What is the what is it? Anything less would be uncivilized?
I would have no clue.
It's an old that's an old right guard commercial from the late 80s. Go watch the movie Major League. It's got Bob Uecker in it.
Okay.
Major League 2 to be Major League 2. Charlie Sheen has the parody of the right guard commercial. Major League 2. Still Bob Uecker. We're waiting for any of the drivers who would like to join us in the interview booth. So far, none of us have done so, and that gives me a chance to play with the cameras because this is one of those rare tracks, Jacob, where we do not have the interview cam. There's Alan Bruteau, Kevin Desnoyers. They have joined in the P1 Broadcasting interview room, and so we'll talk to them momentarily. Do want to give Alex Miller a chance to join us here, Jacob. All right, we're going to call up Alan Bruteau just in the interest of time. Well, maybe not. There we go.
Hello.
Alex Miller, you've got Murph and you've got Jacob Collins in the P1 Broadcasting booth. Talk to us about your day and what you were thinking when you came off of turn 4 and saw Logan Edwards slow and sideways and slow headed for the checkered flag.
I believe my reaction when I crossed the line and saw the P3 was they can't keep letting me steal things in this car. That's the second time this week. Stole the win in Horizon and now I stole this.
Yeah, that was a tremendous run. Tell us about the conditions. We expected rain. We never got it. Did that affect anything, or did you have a dry setup and a wet one ready to go?
I had both a dry and wet, so I just loaded the regular set.
Gotcha. Jacob, do you have anything for Alexander Miller this evening?
Yeah, we saw you being able to hold ground through the pit sequence and, kind of lose out through the pit strategy. Did you feel like you just pitted too early, too late? Was there a different call you think you could have made and maybe stayed ahead of Logan to keep that position organically? Or was it just a matter of where your car was at come the later stage of the race?
I don't really know. I feel like I just need to get tutoring from an IndyCar person on how to pit stop 101 because I don't think I've ever actually made up time in pit lane in this car. Like, I think I'm just taking it way too easy, and I really need to work on not being such a wimp on the brakes in the pit lane.
Well, you definitely showed the improvement in that area tonight too. There were cars that sped on pit lane, made mistakes. You were not one of them. We do appreciate you dropping by though, Alex. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. The floor is yours.
Normally I have a team to shout out, but I'm actually kind of a free agent right now. So I guess shout out P1 and everyone putting on the broadcast here. Obviously, shout out iRacing. They did great with the Knoxville broadcast, which I was on over the weekend, if y'all didn't see. But they did great with that. And other than that, I think that's kind of it.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for joining us. That's Alexander Miller. He is going to run third today. For second place, we prematurely snapped him in the booth and then threw him right back in with his teammate Kevin Desnoyers. It's Alan Berteau from the Fiercely Forward Squad for second. Alan, the pressure from Logan Edwards was unrelenting toward the end of that one, but you did manage to persevere and come home second. Talk about what it was like to try to hold a hard-charging Logan Edwards off.
So that was kind of horrible. I had saved a lot of push to pass to manage the exit of every turn. But that was hard because he was faster than me on the second last corner. And just he had fresher tires, so it was very tricky, and I just had to focus because it's very hard to overtake here.
Indeed. Jacob?
Yeah, you kind of talked about it's difficult to overtake here. Do you feel like you would have had an opportunity to make a pass yourself had it come to that, or do you feel like it's just too difficult to get that run to muster? It looked like even organically the only place to pass was going into that first corner, and it's just you got to be willing to kind of shoot your car to the inside and hope it sticks more than anything. So do you feel like you could have made a pass, or is it just too tough?
Yeah, honestly, if I was behind Alex or Logan, I don't think I could have made a pass without a mistake. I think that a lot of overtakes happened in the pits. That's how Logan pitted just in front of me on my outlap. But yeah, that was tricky, and I don't think I could have made a real pass on that track.
Well, thank you so much, Alan, for joining us in the booth. Congratulations on the P2. Friends, family, sponsor, shout-outs. The floor is yours, my man.
Oh, yeah. Sorry?
Friends, family, sponsors, shout-outs. The floor is yours. You've got the mic.
Oh, yeah. So thanks again for the setup we had. So it was very close to the P1 dogs. But yeah, we managed, and we had a real good start with Kevin. I knew when he could start, and I took advantage of that. So that was nice to have a teammate like him.
Very good. Well, it's a 1-2 for you and the team. Get out of here, go celebrate. We'll talk to Kevin, and we'll get him back in your Discord so you guys can continue on. But good talking to you, Alan. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy.
Thank you, dude.
That is Alan Berteau, the winner, and the very similarly painted machine of Kevin Desnoyers. We didn't see very much of it tonight, Kevin, because we were focused on battles throughout the field. You kind of turned the front of this race into a snoozer. Tell us how you did it.
Wait, hello. I don't know. I just Portland felt pretty good. Thankfully, there was no rain. I think if there was rain, it really would have shook things up because I did not practice that at all. But I don't know. Just loaded the P1 dock set, did like an hour of practice, and thankfully no hard hitting drivers showed up. Like, I don't know, Jaden Munoz, Michele Constantino was in my practice, but he didn't do the race. So.
Yeah, that was definitely a surprise. We were looking at some of the names in the practice, and it seems to me, it seems to me that that the conditions may have played a part in that. You, Kevin, you teed it up and got the win. Jacob, what do you have for tonight's winner?
Yeah, you looked like you had just a clean pace gap on everybody in the field. At what point do you feel like you're more managing pace than you are pushing, or is there a point at which you feel like if you don't push, you're kind of going to lose your markers and make a mistake?
Honestly, around this track, I felt pretty comfortable, kind of just driving how I would when I'm pushing. So I think the only place I would take it easy a little bit was turn 1, because I don't want like a nasty bounce off the inside curb. But other than that, it kind of was like pushing the whole way, and I was also trying to push myself with how much I could save fuel for the pit stops. There
you go. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us in the booth. I know things are a bit abbreviated, but Jacob does have a race to get to after all, so we've got to let him do that. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours, my man.
As always, a shout out to P1 Docs. I loaded the stock setup. I thought it was pretty good. I think I showed it. And shout out to the team. Alan had a nice P2. Yeah, that's all I have for today.
There you go. That's Alan Berteau. Get out of here. Go celebrate with Alan, my friend. And keep going fast, having fun, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. That is Kevin Desnoyers. He is the winner tonight. Jacob, not the race that we thought we were going to get. Also,
Yeah, I think the biggest disappointment, no precipitation.
yeah, definitely so. You know, and I think it's kind of a letdown, right? Everybody practiced so much. I think everybody practiced so much for. Everybody had practiced so much for the rain, and it was kind of a letdown that it didn't happen. But there would be plenty of chances for rain. For example, next week we go to Phillip Island in this course, and that's going to be interesting. Going to Australia.
Yeah, picturesque, right by the ocean too.
Yeah, that's a former home of the Australian Grand Prix, in case anybody that was wondering. And that'll be live here at P1 on P1 at 8 o'clock next week. It'll be Jacob Collins and I on the call. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. Jacob, we had an awesome crowd tonight, very engaging in the chat. And so want to thank everybody who joined us. If you haven't already done so, make sure you smash the like on the video, ring the bell to subscribe to P1 so that you can be notified of all future iRacing broadcasts. Remember, you're going to be able to see Jacob Collins in just a few minutes take on the Tricky Triangle from Pocono. That is the Sim Gaming Expo ISRA Open Wheel Series season finale. Do want to thank not only everybody that tuned in, the drivers, the fans, but also the people that really make it possible, the first responders, the military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs, the nurses in the emergency room. In the middle of the night, we all thank you. Jacob, the virtual helicopter's waiting, brother.
Whoopee.